Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for stopping by. If you have not already, please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that bell button if you're already subscribed. This may look a little weird for you guys. I am in the process of, in the middle of doing the wheel hub video that you guys have already seen. If you have not seen that video already, I'll leave that up here for you guys so you can go check that one out. We already have everything apart, so if you want to see how to get to this part, go ahead and check that video out below. I'll make sure I'll leave that link below for you guys. It was a good install video. Very informative. Now we're going to be going ahead and doing some upper ball joints and some lower ball joints. We're going to show you exactly how we're going to do that. And the reason why I did a two-part video on this is simply because I wanted to make sure that I did a good install for you guys, that I made sure I had a good step-by-step so that you guys can make sure you guys do it. Now when we do these ball joints, I'm going to show you them here in a little bit. I'm gonna show you exactly what kit you're gonna need for it and what ball joints we are using, or Eric, for instance, on the paperweight Duramax had decided to use. So here's the kit. I got this from Harbor Freight. I don't remember the cost of it. This will get me my old ball joints out, and I do believe I'll be able to press them in with this kit. I got these ball joints right here. These are a Kryptonite ball joint. I'll leave the link in the description below. These are a lifetime warranty ball joint. No questions asked. You cannot go wrong with it. As you guys know, anytime we are dealing with these bolts, anytime we're dealing with these bolts, this is a Kroil sponsored video. You cannot go wrong with this product. You guys will hear me over and over and over again, not just because I'm sponsored by them, because they've hopped on the channel, but simply because it truly is the best oil penetrant you can get. All right, so like I said just earlier, if you want to make sure you want to see how we got to this point, you can definitely check out the link below. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and take the tie rod off that we recently installed. All right, so this is a 21 millimeter. Now I'm gonna make sure that I soak bolts really good here. These are obviously the bolts that go on your ball joints. We're gonna make sure that we get these things soaked real nice and good. Now the one thing I do wanna show you when it comes to Kroil, and the reason why it says that the oil that creeps. A lot of people think that, you know, gravity takes over and that the penetrant is not gonna get up into the threads. I'm gonna try and prove you guys that wrong. Now when you spray on Kroil, you know, I'm coming up from underneath and I spray it nice and light like this. Now if you see here, it's starting to go around. I don't know if you can see that or not. That is actually starting to move up. It's not moving down, it's moving up. So when they mean Kroil is the oil that creeps, it is referencing to the fact that it will go against gravity and get into every little crack and crevice that you need to get into. Now I stepped away for just an absolute little bit, and you can already see here that it's still got a little bit more to go, that Kroil has made its way all the way up this bolt. Now, if that doesn't open your guys' eyes, I don't know what's gonna open your guys' eyes. So our next step here is we need to take the lower ball joint nut out on the steering knuckle so that we can get the steering knuckle dropped out. We will also have to take out the top nut on the top upper ball joint enable, so the steering knuckle will just kind of drop down and out for us. Now I am grabbing the big Ugga Dugga just because, well, I'm just gonna make it a little easier. All right, so right now we have an 18 millimeter. And hopefully I don't have to use the breaker bar on this. Oh, come on. Thank you. Now, if you notice up here, I left the nut on here to here, and I also left the nut down below. I left them both on because we gotta get a hammer on this now, and we're gonna have to hammer the steering knuckle down. All right, so I am actually going to remove the entire upper nut. I'm gonna take that off of the entire upper ball joint. So that way we can get it completely taken off, just like that. Now when it comes to the steering knuckle, I left the lower nut on the lower ball joint because we need to try and bang this out. Now how I'm gonna bang this out is I'm actually gonna start banging it out on the inside. And this is gonna be quite a little bit of a process because it's not gonna come off easy. These are not meant to come off easy. That's why they're your steering knuckles and they're very important. So just bang away at it and you'll get it off.
Few moments later.
Woo! Just like that. So now once you get it broken loose, you can go ahead and finish taking off your lower nut here on your lower ball joint. Ball joint spinning on me. All right, so the lower ball joint nut was spinning on me, so I had to grab a Chinese. I grabbed a hold of the ball joint and it came right off for me. So now we should be free and in the clear to take your lower steering knuckle off. And now this is an awesome time to go ahead and inspect your CV axles, inspect your boots, make sure that nothing's torn or ripped. and that it's in good condition. If you don't have a lifted truck and you're not running big tires, you shouldn't have an issue. But it's just a good time, a good friendly reminder to inspect this, because if you need to change this out now, this is a really good time to do it because it's just right back there. All right, so I'm gonna show you guys real quick here why we are replacing them, and that's just simply this. You should not be able to do this with your ball joints. Now his lower isn't nearly as bad, but it's still bad. Obviously that amount of play you shouldn't have, but look at this upper one. I mean, my goodness, I can just have all the fun in the world with it. So here is the ball joint press kit that I got from Harbor Freight. I'll leave the link in the description below. If they don't have this one, I'll leave a different link in the description below for one they do have. It has served me well since I've had it. It has a lot of different options here that you can use for your ball joint presses and to get them out. I know some guys use hammers to get them out, but I'm gonna try and use the ball joint press first, and then I'll use a hammer to get it out. All right, so here's the ball joint press, and what you're gonna need out of this kit is you're gonna need the base plate, and then you're gonna need one of these to go up and around the ball joint. Now the nice thing about ball joint kits is it doesn't really matter when you're taking it out, is you can get this around. That's how you need to get it to fit around. And then the ball joint kit, the stud will actually slip through the center of the kit, and that way you put no pressure on this stud, because you don't want to put any pressure on these studs when you're installing them. Giving you a little update here. This is my setup I have right now. And you guys really need to get one of these tools. We did heat this up, but this makes a world of a difference. You don't have to sit here and beat on it with a hammer. You just got to get this in the right spot, and eventually it'll start pushing it out. As you can see here, I'm already starting to push it out. So I wanted to give you guys a little update on the process of it getting pushed out. You can tell, you know, obviously there's a complete difference in quality. These are Kryptonite ball joints. They do come with a lifetime warranty. It's an absolute outstanding ball joint. I'm going to pair these ball joints with some silly Kroil, and I'll explain exactly why I'm going to be using this silly Kroil with these ball joints on the install, because it's going to make my life a lot easier when I install these. Now when you get these Kryptonite ball joints, it's going to come with a castle nut, a cotter pin, a grease zert that you will put on at the end, and also your washer. Now, when you take a look at these, you're gonna wanna make sure that your grease zert is pointing away from the wheel. So that way on the lower ball joint, you have a way to get your grease gun on that grease zert and to get these properly greased. So now the next step, I'm gonna show you exactly what we're gonna do. We're gonna install these. We're gonna be using our cup here with our ball joint kit. Now what I'm gonna do with the silly Kroil here is silly Kroil acts as a lubricant. So it's the original Kroil with all the benefits of Kroil, but you're going to get a lubricant with this, and you're gonna see when I spray it on here that it's gonna come out a little bit differently. It's gonna come out a little bit more thick, and that is because you get yourself a lubricant with this silly Kroil. All right, so now when we install it, you're gonna pay attention to your grease zert. You don't want it towards the tire. You don't want it necessarily away from the tire fully, like I said before, but your control arms come with this nice little groove, and that's from the factory, so you can get your grease zert in there properly, and you get your grease gun to get your ball joint properly greased. Now, the reason why I added this silly Kroil is because this silicone is gonna give me a nice, very, very nice, I also sprayed it on the inside here, a very nice lubricant to be able to get these to slide in a lot better than what you're gonna do if you put them in dry. And as you see right here, it's a little off from this groove, but you know what? I think it'll be fine because you'll still be able to get your grease gun in there. All right, so I forgot to record how I popped off the upper ball joint. I'll do that for you guys on the other side here shortly after we put this new one in. But it's a very simple process. This ball joint kit makes absolute quick work of everything, and I would highly suggest it. I really don't think it broke the bank for me. Obviously, you know, you're only gonna do ball joints every so often, but say you go in together with somebody, a family member or somebody you know that works on vehicles, it's really not that bad of an investment. And I actually use this for my U-joints as well. To take them out, this is kind of what the setup we have. We've got the spline on the bottom, you've got this certain disc right here, and just like that, and then you're gonna go ahead, use the impact to get it down. And just like that, should have popped out for us. Perfect. Look how bad this is. I mean, that is just destroyed. This is why your ball joints are important. So now we're gonna go ahead and get the new ones installed. We're gonna simply get a wire brush on this, get it all cleaned out, the inside cleaned out, the underneath all cleaned out. And then, like I said, I am gonna spray this with silly Kroil, because the beautiful thing about silly Kroil is you do get that lubricity with it, and you can't go wrong with it. So now if you look here, you can see that this has a little dimple on it, and this dimple actually has to go away from the tire. All right, so here again, this is what I'm gonna do. You're gonna see here, I've got my silly Kroil. Again, this is all the benefits of Kroil, but with silicone. I'm gonna go ahead and spray this ball joint with the silly Kroil, enable for it to have a nice little lube for when I go ahead and install this. All right, so now when it came to installing the ball joints, we really had to kind of just play around with what pieces of the press kit that we needed. But everything is in there that you need for this press kit. The link will be in the description below for installing and uninstalling and removing of your ball joints. And honestly, it's just seriously that simple. All right, so now that we got this ball joint in, it pressed in just beautifully again. I cannot express enough. The right tools for the right job make it a lot easier. The snap ring below, on the other hand, was kind of a pain. Just keep that in mind. You might want to get the right size pliers. We had kind of a smaller size pliers and use some screwdrivers to get it up in there. But you got to get that snap ring up in there. Get your grease certs on here. Get your other one on. Whoops. Get your other one down there. And now you're good to go, and we can go ahead and get the knuckle put back on. All right, so here we've got our castle nut. You've got 2 of them for the upper and lower, and then you also have a washer. And then we're gonna go ahead, I'm gonna get the steering knuckle installed, get this put in properly. Now I'm gonna just get the lower one and the lower nut and washer on so that I can focus on the top. That way I can put multiple hands on this instead of doing everything with one hand, because it's not fun doing this with one hand, I can tell you that right now. Now again, your bottom one is still going to be a 24 millimeter, so just keep that in mind. One thing I am going to do though, is I'm going to get this started, I'm going to get these put together, and I'm going to put the tie rod back on so that I don't get this going on. Obviously you can see I was dealing with that. Get the tie rod back installed, so that way you don't have to deal with that. Right, and the top nut is now a 19 millimeter, so keep that in mind as well. All right, perfect. So right there is where your cotter pin has to go through. I don't know if you guys can see it, but down here, I'll show you. I'll be able to show you guys on the bottom. All right, so right down here is where that cotter pin goes through. You can see it just goes right through there. It lines up perfectly, so you don't have to overwork it. And once you get it in there, then you're gonna go ahead and fold it apart. But you specifically do not want to loosen that castle nut and able to get that cotter pin on. They're specifically designed to get to a point to where that castle nut will line up perfectly where the cotter pin will go through the stud. So keep that in mind. Do not loosen your castle nut, because at first I thought, I was like, man, how the heck am I gonna be able to get that cotter pin through there? But you just keep going slightly and it'll get there. So do not loosen that castle nut and keep that nut loose and able to get that cotter pin on, because it will line up for you guys. So as we finish up this side, like I said, the link in the description will be below for the hubs that we did. That got you to the point to where you could do your ball joints. It's really not that hard of a job. It just kind of takes a while, and it's a very messy job. Very messy job. So have towels, all sorts of stuff. You need your Kroil. You absolutely need it. Trust me. That silly Kroil helps install these ball joints beyond unbelief. I've never installed a ball joint this easy, because there's a lot of friction when you're installing a ball joint raw. and dry. So that being said, go ahead and hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. If you're already subscribed, please hit that bell button so you get those notifications. Thank you again for Kroil for sponsoring this video, making my life a heck of a lot easier with that silly Kroil and that Cano regular Kroil as it is. You cannot beat their product. It's outstanding. Their link will be in the description below. The ball joint kit will be in the description below. The ball joints will be in the description below. Make sure you guys check it out. I'm excited. We've got a lot more stuff coming, you guys. Have yourselves a great weekend. Have yourselves a great night, and we'll see you soon.